On today's episode of Titus and Tate, Duke lost. Tate, your thoughts?
I'm dumbfounded. I can't believe this. Coach K, he got everybody's best shot. But again, we have one thing that you can point to always with these situations. Either you're back or rust. This time, it was rust.
Coach K said it was rust?
It was rust.
Was that his excuse?
We'll talk about it.
Also, Miami, the real story to me about this was that Duke loses at home in Cameron Indoor Stadium to a team that has now won 9 straight games, and Miami is still unranked.
No respect for the ACC.
Yeah.
No respect for Coach K's last season.
Yes, exactly.
No respect for Duke.
In what world is beating Duke to cap off a 9-game win streak not get you in the top 25? Apparently this world that we're living in right now.
The new reality.
Also, on the court, the Michigan State rivalry is cooling off.
Woo.
But on the message boards, the action is heating up because Michigan State were supposed to play on Saturday. Word breaks late Friday night.
Two responsible Jays.
2 very handsome,
Yes.
which I don't know how much that matters, but I'm just stating the facts. They are very attractive men. Break the story that the game is not going to be played. And ever since then, all hell has broken loose in the state of Michigan, trying to figure out whether the Wolverines are ducking, dodging.
It's a duck or a dodge.
Or is it just unlucky? I don't know, but Michigan State are not playing, and the conspiracies that are floating around are juicy, and we're going to talk about it.
And people were wondering how we knew. We'll never reveal our sources.
We will not.
Does it rhyme with Funkin' Dobinson? I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll talk about it. Also, Tom Crean's school won a national championship.
Oh, my God.
Tom Crean School is a national champion.
So Tom Crean can sell that to the next #1 pick.
How about that?
Yeah.
So,
congratulations.
Maybe we'll talk about that. Congratulations to Tom Crean's school.
It doesn't work now because it was 27 Crean and then was 2019 Crean. But, yeah.
All that coming up at first.
Woody Durham.
All right, let's hold off on Duke. Is that okay? I think we talked a little too much Duke last week, and let's save the Duke Miami game for later.
It's not even that juicy, really. You know, if you watched the game, you had a great ride. But I mean, Coach K was not upset after the fact, so it wasn't not as big of a story as Michael DeVoe pointing at him. Yeah.
So let's take Duke. Let's put it over here. We'll get to that in a second. In the meantime, we have to talk about what is the story in college basketball, certainly in our world. Which is Michigan State were supposed to play on Saturday. They do not play
on Fox, by the way. Company man.
Yes. This. I don't know if it's going to be the game of the week, but we work for Fox. They signed our check, so
it was going to be game of the week.
It was going to be the game of the week. Great rivalry in college basketball. We know this. It is a game that certainly in this new era of Michigan basketball, basically post Tommy Amaker, since John Beilein has taken over at Michigan State is a game that you throw out the records tape. If those two teams are playing, you must watch it.
It's a great rivalry game.
It's going to be a great game. Michigan was actually favored in this game, by the way. Surprising. Michigan State is ranked 10th. Michigan is unranked. They're 7-6.
At home, though.
They've lost 3 of 4, but it was at home. So this was setting up to be a fun game. Michigan State fans were convinced that they were going to wipe the floor with Michigan.
Yes. I mean, convinced. So many Michigan State people in our orbit.
Vegas was not convinced. That's what's so interesting to me. Is that Michigan State was like very convinced, and Vegas was like Michigan -3.
Yes, which is strange, but also at the same time, you can look at the momentum of these two programs, these two teams right now. And Michigan State, they get very offended by. We talked about this. The college basketball media, they fell in love with Juwan Howard.
Yes.
And they shot him to the moon.
Yes.
He's coach of the year.
He's better than John. I can't believe John Beilein left and Michigan upgraded. I can't believe a guy that went to the national title game twice and won like 1,000 Big Ten trophies. There's the guy who's been there for 3 years is actually better than that guy.
So he won the news clippings, you know, and the Michigan State people who had Tom Izzo, who used to be kind of, all right, who's the coach of the year? Izzo. De facto used to be the guy, but now Juwan Howard.
January, February, Izzo.
Mr. March.
Yes.
And now Juwan Howard has taken some of that shine. And the Michigan State fans know, and they believed that they were the better basketball team, and they wanted to stick it to Juwan Howard and to Michigan. So there was a lot of fire that goes into this, and that comes to us. That comes to the journalism part of this whole conversation.
Yeah, great point, because if you have no idea what's going on here, you might be saying to yourself, a game got canceled because of COVID. So what? We've had 1,000 of those this season. What makes this one special? Well, number one, we broke the news. So, like, first of all, there's that.
Scoopers.
Oh, we got the scoop. Number two, it's the circumstances around this. It's the aftermath from this, which is to say that Michigan State fans are convinced that Michigan is the Michigan Wolverines are dodging them. They're convinced that there's some ducking, some dodging, that Michigan has lost 3 or 4. They lost to Minnesota. They lost to UCF. Then they lose to Rutgers for the first time in program history. They're now going into a stretch where they play Michigan State, Purdue, and Illinois. 3 of the better teams, if not the 3 best
teams in the
Big Ten. And out of nowhere, quote unquote, Michigan now has to cancel these games. And Michigan State fans are licking their lips saying, you're doing this on purpose. You're just dodging us.
And they're saying that you're repeat offenders. They're saying we've seen this before.
And I guess that's what I want to talk about briefly, because we discussed this when COVID started canceling games this year. When in the preseason, I famously said that the one thing I'm most excited about with this season is that we don't have to worry about COVID anymore. It's not going to cancel any games. And then it started canceling games. And I brought up the point that there are instances of teams dodging other teams. That is happening. That is 100%
Dodging is happening. Yes.
It is 100% happening. The problem is, who's going to have the balls to step up and point the finger at specific teams, at specific coaches, at specific programs and say, I think you're dodging. I certainly don't have those balls. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to at Michigan, if Duke doesn't want to go on the road, or, like if Duke gets COVID before a road stretch, I'm sure people are going to go nuts and say that they're dodging. I don't have the balls to point, because I'm not wired that way to be like, you're 100% I can't trust that.
Yeah, you can't.
But at the same time, I'm definitely going to let Michigan State fans make the case, because I was reading all this and I was just nodding along like, this is interesting. This is very, very interesting, because we do know that people are dodging. We do know that this is happening. And if you are a Michigan State fan making the case, you could certainly make a pretty good one, Tate.
And I think it's ducking is what they've gone for. It's not
even gone with the duck.
They've gone with the duck. And if you look at we tweeted the scoop. We said, the night before the game, around 8:00 or so, we put out to the world, sources have told us that this game will be postponed. And we knew close to the program,
very
friends
close
of the program.
To our program, not to either program, to
our program.
Yes, not to Michigan State or Michigan.
Confirmed what we already felt in our loins, which is that Michigan is going to duck this game. And immediately the comments are flooding in. There are Donald Ducks. There are
Howard the Duck, which I got to admit is pretty good.
Howard the Duck is amazing.
Juwan Howard is ducking, so that's good. That's good.
That's the best one.
I like that.
But I just love that with the Donald Duck, it's Disney. You know what I mean? It's Mickey Mouse, which I think goes to the larger conversation about it being a Mickey Mouse season, which I think it comes back into play. Are we back to it being a Mickey Mouse season?
Is it actually a Donald Duck season? Is that what you're saying?
It's Donald Ducking season, and it's a part of a Mickey Mouse calendar in college basketball. And I love to see those replies. But then what I didn't like to see, Titus, was the doubters. We got the Duckers and the Dodgers, but then we got the doubters, the 3 Ds. And I'm not talking about anything with Guy Fieri. I'm talking about these people in the mix of this conversation, and the doubters, aka the haters, were coming and saying that the game.
You want to talk about our scoop for a second?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about our scoop.
Just give it its credence. We'll go back to the Duckers.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Michigan.
Talk about the Duckers later. Talk about the doubters.
This was one of the better scoops for us, in the sense that we beat everybody to this by like 12 hours. I don't think anyone else ever really got it. Yeah. No one else tried to break the news until after the announcement was out. Like all the usual scoopers just waited till Michigan put out the release,
actual release. Yeah,
just said per release,
because they didn't want to give us the scoop, and the scoop was already out there. Yeah, so they couldn't get the glory of the scoop.
But how
if they put out the scoop, then everyone's like, well, they already said that. You know what I mean?
Yes. But we were almost like too early to it, because no one believed us, because they were waiting for.
We were the boys who cried
the confirmation. Yeah.
And nobody wanted to believe us except for the Detroit Free Press.
Yeah.
Which is why, look, you have to respect, the press, and respect the state of Michigan, because at least they respect the show, And they also pointed out that we're Fox's voices of college basketball. So thank you to the Detroit Free Press.
Did they really?
Well, not exactly, but you know what I mean? You can read between the lines.
Gus and Raph, move over.
Read between
Titus
the lines.
Tate into the new voices of Lab and Jimmy Jackson, get out of here.
If you were my mom, you read it like that.
Yeah, so my DMs are blowing up too. Like, people are like, how do you know this? What are your sources? All that. We're not going to reveal our sources, but I will say, dude, my heart. I have famously quit the scoops game 1,000 different times, only to get pulled back into it when I get a scoop.
You can't quit.
I really can't quit. I can't quit.
It's one thing that you can't quit, and it's also the funniest part about it is, like, John Rothstein definitely copy and pasted our tweet, and put his tweet out, and did not give us credit. And John is a supposed friend of the program, and for him to blatantly disrespect us,
John, if you're listening, I don't have a problem with it because John is also
he's a certified scooper. But if he gives us that purr,
he is. But he's married to the game, and I think in his mind, the game has to be played the right way. And I think like
we're playing it wrong.
He'll acknowledge that we had the scoop, but he'll say you got the scoop the wrong way. You cheated the game. And I think like he's like Rick Pitino. Remember when Rick Pitino got fired in every interview he did? He's like, I never cheated the game. We're like, Rick, no one said you cheated the game. We said you hired hookers for 16-year-old recruits. That's what we said you did.
We said you were doing different sorts of things.
And he's like, that may be true, but I never cheated the game. And we're like, what are we talking? I think that's John's approach to the Scoops game. Is like, if you cheat the game, he doesn't matter how close you are to him. And in his mind, we cheated the game because we have sources that are outside the realm of. I had people slide in my DMs, Big J journalists that were like, what are your sources? The people I know within the Michigan program and the Michigan State program are both stonewalling me. I can't get anywhere with this. How do you know this? Yeah. I was like, we're not
the only people that I had any sort of sympathy for is the actual beat writers.
Yeah.
Because the beat writers, this is their scoop. This is what they actually break.
But I think that's what happened is like the beat writers were going to their sources and they were like, if they're stonewalling me, how the hell did Titus and Tate get to know? And so in their mind, they're like, it must be some dipshit manager on one of these teams or like some guy so they obviously did it in a not
they
fair
think we
way.
know the ball boy from Michigan.
Yes. And we do. I will say we do. That was our source, the ball boy. So if I was Michigan, I would fire all of your managers, bring in some new ones. Smoke out the rat. That's the only way you can do it.
Smoke out the rat. This boy, we're gonna have like the Michigan ball boys reach out to us. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, you've ruined my life.
I hate you.
I was running sprints after practice because of you things. No, we had the scoop, and my heart was racing like crazy because I'm not cut out for the game.
We contemplated not even putting out the scoop. You know that's how much respect we had for the scoop.
That's the other part is like that's why I'm not cut out for the scoops game because every time I get one of these scoops, I'm like, I don't know if this meets the threshold of like it's a catch-22 because it has to meet a certain threshold for me to even want to put it out there.
Yeah.
But then if it does meet that threshold,
this is a big game. This is the game of the week.
If it meets that threshold, then I'm shitting my pants once it's out there and no one's confirming it.
Yeah. You're like,
I'm like, did these ball boys? Did they swerve me?
We're Tom Brady with the ball boys. Like,
I'm googling.
Rattle me.
Can games get unpostponed? I'm googling that. And I'm texting you. I'm like, it's gonna get postponed.
How many players do they need to play? Tom Izzo said they need 7 players and a coach. Basically, that's all they need to play. So
along those lines, so we get the scoop Friday night. It's about midnight Eastern ish. That the news kind of breaks that Michigan has tested 2 positive. They've had too many positives. They're not going to have enough guys to go against Michigan State. The game is going to get postponed, and this is what set Michigan State fans off, Tate, is because Michigan State had already driven to Ann Arbor. They had already gone to their shoot around. They were in the hotel. They were ready for the game the night before. Why are you canceling this now? And if you're playing devil's advocate, you would say, well, Michigan didn't know they had COVID until the test came back on Friday night, which is, that's what Michigan fans would say. And maybe you're inclined to believe them, you're nodding along. That makes a lot of sense. Where Michigan State fans would chirp back is they would say that the game against Rutgers that Michigan played, they were already shorthanded. They already had like a COVID problem where they didn't take guys on the trip. There's a little bit of an outbreak within the program. So they knew going into the Michigan State game, they were already susceptible. So I think the Michigan State point of view is you could have told us this before the night before the game. You could have tested your guys then. You could I doubt that and I'm speaking as a Michigan State fan, I doubt that the outbreak happened right as we got to campus and went through the whole thing. And then you kind of like ran your algorithm of the guys that were healthy, the guys that weren't, how badly were you going to lose? That's like how the Michigan State fans start thinking. And it is, I wouldn't say suspect, but it is like again, if Michigan State fans want to make that case, I'll certainly read and listen to anything they want to say because
Izzo's done a good job, with all this.
Yes, he has. But the larger point, though, is that number one, on the grander scheme of college, the grander picture of college basketball, Tate, this is the 3rd rivalry game by my count. 3rd big-time rivalry game in college basketball this year that has been canceled because of COVID, and the team that was probably not going to win the game had the COVID problems. We had Kentucky-Louisville, where Louisville had to cancel the game because of
that was
COVID
a dodge.
issues. You think that was a dodge?
That was a dodge.
All right. We
not
had
a duck. Just a dodge.
We have Tennessee, Memphis, which similar circumstances. Tennessee was already there in Nashville. Memphis dips out. Tennessee runs like a scrimmage because they're like, screw it, we're already here.
And Memphis was coming off the high of beating Alabama, and I think they were worried about the dip. So
yeah.
I think when you're dipping, you're dodging.
Yeah. Okay.
Dodge. That's a dodge.
And then now Michigan.
For the record, Jim, write these down. Dodge.
And then now Michigan State, Michigan, third rivalry game where the
this is the
again,
duck.
I keep saying underdog. I keep wanting to say underdog, but Michigan was not an underdog in this game, which makes it kind of a weird dynamic.
How can you really argue it?
So here are the other. Here's where I ultimately land on this because I don't want to believe that Michigan is dodging teams, and the Michigan point of view is that. Why would we not want to play this game? Like they understand that Michigan State was probably going to win. I think most Michigan fans would even say like their team's not playing great right now. Michigan State is kind of hot. Even though Vegas believed in Michigan, I'm guessing most Michigan fans were like, we were probably going to lose that game anyway. But in that regard, that's exactly the reason they would want to play it. Like they need a big win. And if it's a rivalry game where maybe you can muck it up and beat Michigan State at home, you've saved your season. You know, it's like, why would you give away an opportunity? This is the Michigan point of view. Why would we forfeit an opportunity to improve our NCAA tournament resume just because we are scared, quote unquote? Like that doesn't really add up. I understand that. Here's where I ultimately land though. If Michigan as an athletic department has had a few head scratching deals throughout this COVID tenure. There was the Ohio State football game last year where every Buckeye fan on earth, including Kirk Herbstreit, went on television was like, I think Michigan football is dodging Ohio State. And then Kirk had to walk it back and be like, I didn't mean they were dodging. What I meant was
they were ducking.
Yeah, they were ducking. So that was this was last year when Michigan was not as good and Ryan Day was like, we're going to hang 100 on them, and Ohio State had Justin Fields and Ohio, and it was in Columbus. And but it's COVID. It happens. Things happen. Like we're not gonna say that this is. I even as an Ohio State guy at that point, I wasn't like Michigan's dodging. I was like, I don't know, maybe they are just unlucky. But then there was also the Illinois basketball situation the basketball situation last year when Michigan was coming off a 2-week COVID pause.
Yes.
You might remember
their entire athletic program.
Their entire athletic department said we are pausing for 2 weeks because COVID's a mess both on campus and in the state.
Yep.
Which again, I was nodding along and I was like, do what you got to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do, what not to do. What raised some suspicion, Tate, the night of the game that Michigan was supposed to play Illinois, that was supposed to be their first game back, was Illinois at Michigan. But they postponed it. That same night, the Michigan women's basketball team played Purdue, who is not very good. So all the Illinois fans were losing their mind because they're like, if it's an athletic department-wide pause, why is the women's team playing on the same night the men's team could have played? You said the men's team can't play.
The math doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And then they do play. Illinois beats the hell out of Michigan without Ayo Dosunmu in Ann Arbor, and Michigan still wins. So there's like this whole deal of like, what the hell is going on here? Then you fast forward to this past December when I did some digging on this because I was deep on the Michigan State boards because I couldn't get enough of the conspiracy talk.
The drama.
That the Michigan hockey team is apparently ranked 3rd in the country at the end of December, Tate. And they are going into this weekend tournament where they play back-to-back games against, they're supposed to play Michigan Tech and then Western Michigan, right? Western Michigan is ranked 4th in the country, apparently. Michigan Tech is ranked 18th. So Michigan plays Michigan Tech on, say, a Friday night, whatever it was, on day one. They're supposed to play Western Michigan the next night, but they say they can't because they have a limited number of guys to play because of COVID. And basically their rationale was, we have a limited roster that can't handle the wear and tear of a back-to-back night, which that's very clearly dodging to me. That you can play on one night but not the next night, and you just kind of shrug your shoulders and say COVID and try to wipe it off clear. So with all of these data points, and then you throw in the Michigan, and that, like Michigan, it wasn't just Michigan State. Michigan was supposed to play Purdue tonight, Tuesday night. Yeah. They're supposed to play Purdue.
This is their stretch.
They're supposed to play at Illinois on Friday, which is still on the schedule, but we'll see. So if you're a Michigan State person, you look at all that, you say, there's something going on with this athletic department. And to that, I say there definitely is. Now, the only explanation is you can blame like something sinister, like they're actually dodging or actually trying to manipulate stuff. They're just outright dumb, which is to say like they can't handle.
They can't manage the situation.
They can't this is only happening to them where like before a big game, they seem to like no other athletic program is having these problems before these big games. Like, what the hell are they doing wrong? Why are they so stupid? Or they're unlucky. And it's just like, you just shrug your shoulders and you're like, damn, that's terrible luck going on in Ann Arbor that that despite the entire athletic program dealing with COVID problems, the Michigan football team going into a playoff game had 0 positive cases before the game against Georgia. Interesting how that works out. And that's very unlucky that COVID only impacts them in certain in big regular season games, but not big postseason games. That's interesting. I don't know. So I don't know where I land, but that's where we've arrived. And I certainly love watching like Illinois and Michigan State fans lose their mind.
Lose their minds. Yeah. And I think Tom Izzo covered for Howard the Duck. You know what I mean? And I think, Juwan Howard, he said he was very happy with his communication with Juwan Howard. He said, I think it was more an administration situation, where the administration was the one that was making these decisions. And you asked what 3 it could be. I would be prone to believe it's the latter 2, a mix of unlucky and dumb.
Yeah.
But also,
I would too. I don't think
but also it does. But like when you put the data points together, it does seem a little too good to be true. As far as like how it adds up. But I don't think it's sinister. I don't think it might be a little bit cheeky. I don't think it's sinister.
I think that's what it is. I think it like I don't think it has to be.
It's just cheeky.
It could be like a combination of all these things. Like I don't doubt that Michigan has a COVID outbreak. I don't doubt that they have a limited number of players. I do doubt, there is a small part of me that wants to believe that if Michigan had the top 7 players, like their entire rotation were the 7 that they had healthy, they would maybe play the game, But it's like it's not that they don't have enough guys to play, it's that they don't have enough of the right guys to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like if I will put my hand up, I will tap my chest, and I will freely admit that if Ohio State was in the exact same position, I would be cheering for Ohio State to not play games where because that is fair. Like at the end of this season, when the selection committee sits down and looks through the resumes, nobody's going to remember who was eligible, what games, and whatever. I mean, hopefully they do. Hopefully they kind of piece it together, but that's not going to happen. And so if you are Michigan and you're like, we're screwed, we're out like some of our best players, we're definitely going to lose to Michigan State. We're definitely going to lose to Purdue. We're going to look up and have this stretch where we dig ourselves a huge hole that we can't get out of. I don't know. Maybe we call it. I don't know. Maybe we postpone it.
We don't.
Like, I don't blame them if that's exactly what they did. I don't know, but it's all fascinating. I love it.
It's good for the rivalry. I think at the end of the day, we're going to be talking about Michigan basketball, Michigan State basketball, and who reigns supreme in that situation for, the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that's going to be great because Tom Izzo is not going anywhere. A lot of these, we're losing Coach K. We lost Roy Williams.
I was worried he was when Amani.
Yeah. The old guard.
Memphis. Yeah.
We got to talk. Maybe we shout out Amani at the end. He finally had a good game. I'll say, but Memphis State, again, State, different than Memphis. So we'll talk about that. But in general, I'm excited to see where this goes because Izzo's not putting the blame on Juwan Howard, but the fans are calling him Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
And I don't like that for Juwan Howard because I like Juwan Howard. But I also can't deny that you add the data points together like Charlie Day and you're looking at the board. You're saying,
oh, dude, if Duke did this, you would 100%. You would be losing your mind. You would be losing your mind.
Coach K's jealous.
Yeah.
He's like, how do I not play road game?
Yeah.
What do we? He's like looking at the AD.
I think that's why. I think that's why this is so fascinating to me is because this is very clearly a situation that's similar to, say, paying recruits with college sports, where I can freely admit that if this was my rival doing this to me, I would think the exact same things that Michigan State fans think. At the same time, if I was in Michigan's shoes, I would be thinking the exact same things Michigan State, which is like, this is bullshit that you're thinking we're dodging you. Like we have, hello, there's a pandemic. Yeah. Hello, Omicron.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of it? It's the same thing with like cheating and recruiting. Like every college fan, but I mean, I'm talking before name, image, likeness. Every single college sports fan would be like, of course there's cheat. Of course every team's paying everybody, but my team's not. Like every single fan base believes that.
I quite genuinely believe that every fan base operates under the same idea that they are the good guys and that everyone
else is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And the media has it out for us.
Exactly. No, 100%. Just talk to anybody.
It's great. That's what makes this a great story. Is that like, I don't know where the truth is. I just know that like, everyone has their point of view, and it's just fun to.
I think that's when I grew up. Like, that's when I lost my innocence. Like, the first time I heard a story about North Carolina in that way, but it wasn't like they were telling it to me to, like, they were just telling a story about their recruiting. And then this is back in the 80s, and I was like, wait, what? What happened? That's when you grow up as a fan a little bit, but you also understand it's a part of the game. The dodging and the ducking is not a part of the game, though. I mean, that there's gamesmanship in it, obviously, but I understand the frustration from Michigan State, obviously, in this situation, Illinois in the past. But I don't think Michigan has to answer for it, though. I mean, it kind of is what it is.
I'm going back to my. Ultimately, it has to be declared. Here's my way of declaring whether it's ultimately a dodge/duck. If this game was not a regular season game in Ann Arbor and this game was the second round of the NCAA tournament, does Michigan play this game? The answer in my mind would be yes, right? Like my feeling on this is that Michigan would have played this game
unless they wanted the.
And in that case,
we couldn't play excuse. The VCU.
Oh, the VCU, unless they But it's like I said leading into like last time we talked about
this stuff. Now the VCUs was an excuse.
No, the last time we talked about this stuff, I said there was no part of me was even kind of concerned that these college football playoff games would get canceled or postponed or anything else. There's no Omicron respects big games.
Yeah,
Omicron apparently does not respect regular season games, and I just find that interesting. That's all I'm saying. I find it interesting. And if you want to make the case one way or the other, I'll listen and I'll nod along.
The thing that I find the most interesting is that we scooped this and nobody wanted to give us credit.
No one wanted to believe us.
Yeah,
and even give us credit, like even
after the fact. No one has come back around. Like John's not texted us, or no one's texted us and said, "Hey, man, great work there." They're just mad at us. They're mad.
Yeah,
and all we do is respect the game. I come here every day to respect the game.
You're legitimately a scooper.
I'm a J.
You are.
And I'm looking at my other J's and I'm like,
you scoop Coach K retiring.
And no one cares. And you scoop Brad Stevens.
Tell you. Yeah.
and look, that was an offer and it almost happened. Just so you know, I heard a story behind the scenes that like Brad Stevens was thinking about it. And then ultimately he was like, I don't want to go back into coaching because I can't coach these kids. He said, I cannot reach these kids.
What are you doing to me?
Oh, I'm just telling you. Here's your little BTS. He said I cannot reach these kids. And then he said, you know what? One program is that I could go to where I could maybe reach
North Carolina. No, this is the problem is we laugh on this show too much. No one takes us seriously.
I know.
But of course we have sources. Are you crazy?
We're laughing to keep from crying half the time, especially in Omicron era. You know what I mean?
My final comment is on Michigan State is exactly that what you said in the Omicron era, which apparently is like this to me is not going to end. The selective, maybe it's not called dodging anymore. It's like selective testing or like selective opting out. That's going. I don't think this is going to end anytime soon, and not even because the Omicron stats are through the roof or whatever. Let's say. I have no idea what is forecasted, and frankly, I don't think it matters if we have some sort of forecast of where the pandemic is.
It's going. Like the weatherman. You're like,
yes,
I don't believe you.
But let's say things are quote unquote back to normal next season, which whatever, who cares? Whatever. Just hypothetically, we know it's not going to happen. Let's say it. I still think there will be instances of coaches trying to figure out to opt out.
Yeah,
I still think there will be finagling.
I think it goes back to Jalen Johnson. I think it goes back to.
I don't think this
once he opted out, opting out was an option.
This isn't the Omicron era; it's the opt out era.
Yes, this has nothing. Take COVID out of it. This is the opt out era. Kirk Herbstreit, where are you? We need Kirk Herbstreit to come in.
You're gonna like get coaches that straight up say like we do not want to play the game tomorrow.
We would rather not play. We are going to opt out.
And you're like, what? Why don't you? You're like, in the best interest of our team. Our team has lost 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
And if we lost a third, it would be damaging to morale. So in the best interest of, I have to look out for my guys.
Yeah.
And what's best for my guys is to opt out of this game. And then everyone's like, wow, that's respect.
Who does it first? Who does it first? Will Wade or Calipari?
Yeah.
I think it's Calipari.
Cal might be the first.
And then I think he's like, look, these kids can't handle that. Mental health wise, like these kids can't handle that. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a pause. Because I think you can take a pause.
You can take a pause.
You know?
That's true. It would be K, but K's, as we know, retiring and definitely not coming back next season.
I saw a clip from January 2020, where we did the Coach K succession power rankings. And I had Coach K number 1 and John Shire number 2. And I do think that that's still what it is. You know, I still think that Coach K is still number 1 on the succession power rankings. I think there is a chance.
How far does Duke have to go in the tournament for you?
If he loses, if he doesn't go to the second weekend, he's coming back.
If they make the Sweet 16 but lose, you think he's gone?
I think he's gone.
You think that's enough?
I think Sweet 16's enough.
But if they lose in the first round in a 14-3 game,
coming back.
He's coming back.
Fact. Fact.
You got anything else you want to say on that?
No, I think that's it.
Let's move on to this is exciting times around these parts. Coors Light dropped the bag for us, Tate.
Yeah, I still can't believe this.
This is so. As a man who drinks almost exclusively Coors Light, that's like basically all it's the only beer I drink.
Yeah. That's what you drink.
I absolutely love it. I could not be more excited that Coors Light dropped the bag for us. So we are doing a new segment brought to you by Coors Light called King of the Mountain. Coors Light is the one I choose, the one Tate chooses, the one Jim chooses. Coors Light is the one we choose when we need to unwind. So when you want to hit reset, reach for the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light in the new look delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/TNT. That's an ampersand in there, by the way. CoorsLight.com/T_T. Please celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. All right, this is the King of the Mountain. For Coors Light, we this is the segment, Tate. Is we have to figure out who is
our King of the Mountain, which
in college basketball.
It immediately took me to a place where who is the best king on a mountain, you think, in history? Because like I don't know many kings that were just like posted up on a mountain other than Zeus.
Oh, that's a good point.
Zeus was on Mount Olympus.
Moses was on
he
Mount
was a god, not a but he was
Zeus was a god. Moses was never a king, was he?
No, I don't think so.
He was on Mount Sinai, and he was just there for a short period of time just to pick up a little mail.
He was a leader, though.
He was grabbing some mail and running back. That's where his mailbox was.
But that was my first thought. Like, who is the actual king of the mountain?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll figure that out.
You're going galaxy brain with
No, we'll figure it out as we move through this exercise. But for me in college basketball, my king of the mountain, and if you saw North Carolina play Virginia on Saturday, you would have thought this was one of the most cathartic experiences I've had, definitely in the new year. And in probably 2 years, because Armando Bacot, 29 points, 22 rebounds. Virginia had won 7 straight. I can't wait for the fraud power rankings later in the week. Tony Bennett had won 7 straight against North Carolina. And we finally got it together and beat Tony Bennett. And Armando Bacot, ACC Player of the Week, the first North Carolina player to be ACC Player of the Week since Cole Anthony was in North Carolina. So
it's been a minute.
It's been a long. You remember when winter was coming? Winter came, and I have been living, chilling, freezing, grasping for the last.
But your mountains have been blue. That's a good.
But the mountains have been blue. Thank you, Coors Light. And Armando Bacot, he gave us hope. He gave us hope again. Slays Virginia, and he is my king of the mountain, Armando Bacot, and he's now in the conversation of ACC Player of the Year. So now we have Paolo Banchero taking on Armando Bacot in the ACC Player.
Do you think that's real? You think he's got?
I think it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, 21-17 against Notre Dame, 22-29.
I need you to give me we're going to talk about Duke in a little bit, so maybe we'll save it for that. But I need an ACC update. We might have to scrap the Pac-12 update this season. I was
thinking about this.
The Pac-12, 3 of the top 6 in the AP poll. And that is including Gonzaga. So throw Gonzaga in there. That's 4 of the top 6 in the AP poll are Pac-12 teams.
Yeah.
I think the Pac-12 update might be. I don't think America needs an update on what's going on in the Pac-12.
What is the Pac-12 update? If you dissect it, it's a conversation about a conference that's being disrespected. And I think it's not the Pac-12 anymore.
Yeah, it's not.
It's the ACC. So now we have the Act-12 update.
There you go.
The Act-12 update.
I might need you, especially because
I'm coming in with the Act-12 update. I'm going to let you know what's going on.
Oh, please.
Miami, most disrespected program in the country.
I will freely admit that I have not been watching a ton of ACC basketball this year.
You're not missing much.
My pick for King of the Mountain in college basketball, I wanted it to be Johnny Davis because he's on a tear right now. He's the toast of the sport right now, the front runner for National Player of the Year, all that kind of stuff. He had the big game in Mackey. The Wisconsin just won in College Park. I wanted to go Johnny Davis, but I thought about it long and hard, Tate, and I said to myself, who's the one man who has college basketball by the balls more than anyone else? Who's the one man that's running the show? Who's
Coach
the one
K.
man that dictates everything that happens and everything runs through him? That man is Scott Drew.
Oh!
It has to be Scott Drew.
Yes.
Defending national champions, number 1 in the country, 15-0.
I love this.
Baylor has been showing a little bit of cracks lately. We're not panicking. We're not concerned. We're not worried at all. But
Baylor's going to lose one. They're going to lose some in February.
We're acknowledging the reality.
Yeah.
We're just acknowledging the reality. They're showing some cracks, but they're still undefeated. They're still a defending champs. And I think the reason Scott Drew is the king of the mountain to me is because of what we talked about not too long ago when you threw out the idea of Baylor being boring, and we laughed about how we got to this point where it's Baylor boring.
Jim was trying to come up with catchphrases.
Yeah, get Drews to it.
Yeah, get Drews to it.
It is fascinating how last year, the entire season, I was trying to talk myself into Baylor, not as a national title contender, because that was obvious. I was trying to talk myself into Baylor being better than Gonzaga, and ultimately they proved it in the national title game. And I was like, oh, okay, well now I get it. But I thought Gonzaga was better the entire season.
Yeah.
Gonzaga jumped out to me. Baylor, I was like, I can't get there to believing that they're better than Gonzaga. I don't know. And man, what a difference a year makes, where now Baylor is in a similar position, undefeated, number one in the country, the analytics, KenPom, whatever, however you want to rank teams, Baylor is, if they're not at the very top, they're close to it on your rankings, much like they were last year. And yet this year, I am now trying to talk myself out of Baylor. Like, Baylor is so obviously number one that it's like, all right, what's wrong with Baylor?
No,
why won't they win the national title? And that is an incredible transformation as a program to have that happen in such a short period of time, especially when not too long ago we were laughing at Scott Drew for
not too long ago, a year ago. You know, I mean, literally a year ago, people were saying that, and I think it's interesting because the King of the Mountain is supposed to be Mark Few right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, by definition, Mark Few is the guy we saw him. He was at the NCAA hearings. It's kind of similar to the NBA.
That's true.
It's like Kevin Durant is the King of the Mountain, but Giannis actually is, you know, and now we're trying to find reasons why he's not. You know, we're like, Giannis did this, and that, but it's like, no, he's the Scott Drew of the situation. He's actually the King of the Mountain. So I appreciate you parsing through that and letting the people know who actually runs college basketball.
But if you want to watch his games, you got to get ESPNU and ESPNplus.com/ Scott Drew.
It's on HBO.
To watch the number one team in the country and defeat the national champions. It's on Hulu. Go to CoorsLight.com/TNT. Please, for the love of God, this sponsorship means more to me than the show, frankly. Like if
and we got our own segment. We were so shocked.
Yes.
We're like, you guys want to do a segment?
We cannot fumble this bag. We need this bag so badly because having Coors Light send me beer over the summer and I can just hammer Coors Light on the beach. That like, I don't know, dude. I need that so badly in my life. So if you've ever listened to the show and you love the show and you say, how can I give back to you guys? Please just hammer Coors Lights when you go to the bar.
And celebrate responsibly.
Hammer them responsibly.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about Duke now, Tate. I promised you if you were a good boy and waited long enough, we would get to talk about it. Full disclosure, I want to say this off the top.
Yeah.
Didn't watch this game. I was busy. I had something going on, and I could not watch the game. But the only reason I knew Duke was on upset alert was Kevin Clark, Miami grad, former Ringer colleague, texted the both of us, Miami basketball's back. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? I didn't even realize Miami was playing Duke, which is how out of the loop I am on ACC basketball, which we can talk about in a second. But here are the three things that I pulled from the game, having not watched it. Number one, what the hell? Coach K did some backstretch after the game that looked like demons were coming out of it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. You saw the video?
I saw it live. I mean, he is who we thought he was.
There was that. There was I saw that JJ Redick apparently at halftime shot a free throw.
JJ was so I had a source. One of our friends of the program, was at the game scouting, and he literally texted me at the start of the game and was like, JJ is here with this whole family, you know. And then I was like, that's cool, you know, we'll see what happens. Like, fingers crossed, you know, JJ curse incoming. And then he had a charity free throw at halftime and he missed it. It's like a 95%.
Did you see this, Jim? Did you see JJ Redick had a free throw?
He threw it. That's how bad of a guy. Like, I was talking, like, my scout who was on the ground who was texting me, I was like, you know who is like, you know, who needs to have the bad boy come back a little bit, you know? It's JJ. He's too much of a good guy now. And like missing a charity free throw.
He was a villain, goes to the NBA.
Becomes like the nicest guy. Everyone loves him.
Starts the podcast. People love the podcast.
Yeah.
You're right. He does need to like, I think it's going to come back. I think now that he's on ESPN, he's going to start, because he'll go on First Take and mix it up with Stephen A. and stuff.
Yeah. He's kind of like the actor that played Draco Malfoy, you know? It's like, you loved him when he was evil, but then you learn he's like this really sweet guy and you're kind of pulling for him. But, you know, he needs to go back to playing an evil character, you know? And then we'll all be like, that's the guy we know.
JJ, what was his free throw percentage in college? So in Cameron Stadium.
Had to be like 95. Had to be. Maybe
his sophomore year, he shot 95.3%. His career, he was the 90 in college. I don't know what it was in the pros. Who cares? 91%.
Yeah, 91% for career.
Free throw
That checks
percentage for his career.
Seems right.
Had a free throw to win $1,000 for a children's hospital.
Did he miss it on purpose? That's the question, because I think that would be a smart move, branding.
In his defense, he had sleeves on when he shot that free throw.
Did he have like a button down on?
Was his shirt tucked in?
Because like a hoodie.
It can catch you as you.
Yeah, but you know, he's the sleeveless guy. College, he was
that's
always
true.
the sleeveless with
That's
the little
true.
edges, the badass look.
That's true. But then he got the tattoo sleeve. So he's,
Oh,
so he's
always sleeved.
He's permanently
Yeah.
sleeved.
Oh my god.
I saw that, and then the last thing I was going to say, the only other thing I saw from this game was Miami's uniforms were disgusting. I love those. The big.
I thought you were
grim
saying
and
that you didn't like them for a second, but you're saying like they're fire.
Oh.
They are unbelievable. In fact, when they tweeted like 2 hours before the game, they were wearing those uniforms, and I texted my brother. I was like, man, I feel really good about Miami today. And Duke was so unassuming about this game because, as we know, Miami's the most disrespected program in basketball, so Duke was overlooking them a little bit. And they came in.
Not enough talk is happening in college basketball about the era of uniforms we're in. The throwbacks are unbelievable. There was a period there where Adidas was just
ruining basketball
on
purpose. They got the
FBI involved. They got the uniforms they were making like Cincinnati wear. Do you remember that era?
Baylor's? Oh my god!
Yikes! Louisville was in there too.
NC State's.
Yeah,
I mean,
NC
State was losing recruits because of their uniforms from Adidas.
Yes, and
that's a fact.
I remember they started toying around with IU's uniforms too, and like all the boomers in Indiana were losing their minds.
Yeah. Can't mess with that.
But now they're back, I think, and now Adidas is figuring it out a little bit. Louisville wears the old school Cardinal every so often on the shorts, and I don't know. I just wanted to
go back to the 80s.
And Ohio State is like, where's a throw? Like, I kind of wish Ohio State had a non-throwback so the throwbacks could feel special, but Ohio State wears throwbacks like basically every single game. They wear like 90s era or 80s era every single game, which is absolutely sick, but also
let's make it
special. But we're in a great era of uniforms right now. I just wanted to point that out. It's a great run that we're in with the uniforms. So anyway, back to the Duke Miami game. Tell me what I missed. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Are we worried about Duke? Are we worried about the farewell tour? Is the farewell tour dead? Do people care?
No, I think that the people are locked in now. I mean, the real answer to this game was, turnover. If you want to be actual basketball about it, Duke turned the ball over 20 times in this game. I think it was 17 actually, but basically 20 times. And Charlie Moore was the star of a guy comes from DePaul, Chicago native. Coach K is a Chicago native, as we know, big Chicago basketball guy. And Charlie Moore gets 7 steals in this game. And they try to get him on a BS foul to get him out of the game late, as we are prone to do in Cameron Indoor. But still, Larinaga takes him out. He comes back in and plays with 4 fouls and gets the win. So shout out to Charlie Moore. That was, an amazing game by him. Isaiah Wong was also great in this game. Wendell Moore had a shot there at the end. He had a 3-point look that, was a good look. Coach K said he liked the look. Did not go in, and that was pretty much that. Paulo Banchero turned on. Late in this game, Duke made their classic push where they got the lead, and you think, oh, they've shored this thing up.
Yeah.
But just like that, Miami still fighting, still clawing, still scratching. They just gave a great effort. Duke did not really expect them to keep fighting. I think that they kind of got up on them again, at the end, and we're like, all right, we've handled these guys. But Charlie Moore was the star of the show.
Well, I think I'm going to need you to do an ACC update throughout the year because I've realized that the Coach K farewell tour comes down to this. Duke has to win the regular season ACC. 2
games back in the ACC right now.
They have to win it.
They're 2 games back, and they lost to Miami, who's in.
I'm not even saying this for shtick. This would be one of the great disappointments.
He's coming back if they don't win the ACC.
This would be one of the great disappointments in Coach K's career if Duke does not win the regular season ACC title in his final year when they are the only ranked team in the conference and so much better than everybody. And what was it last week that I said people were floating the idea of the ACC being a 1-bid league?
Yeah.
It's not, but the fact that that's where people are at, we're like, it's Duke and then everyone else. If they can't win the league this year, that's where we have to go with the farewell tour. That's all eyes are on that because otherwise I'm worried that the farewell tour is dead in the sense that there's no reason to watch Duke play at all between now and opening day of March Madness. I think that's the only reason to tune back in. And I don't want to live in that world. I need a reason to keep watching. I need a reason to stay locked in on what Coach K is up to. But if they're playing at Wake Forest, I think. Is it tonight or tomorrow?
I think it's tomorrow.
Big game. Like in terms of like one of the harder games that they're going to have on their schedule, Wake Forest is one of the better teams in the ACC.
And Wake Forest is in the same position as Duke in the standings. They're 2 games back.
But that's a game. Wake Forest is not ranked. Wake Forest is not like jumping off the screen at people. If
they want to win this game, yeah.
If I called my dad and I was like, Dad, Duke's at Wake Forest, my dad would say, is Wake Forest good? Like he doesn't, and he's not disrespecting. He's like, I'm not like Wake Forest does not have the cachet.
They're not in the zeitgeist anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue to happen, except when Duke plays Carolina, basically. And my point is, Tate, that we have to find a reason to get locked back in, and it's going to have to be the ACC race. So I'm going to need you to give me like handicap the ACC race. Is Miami the favorite now?
Duke still has to be the favorite. I mean, there's no way that they're not the favorite.
The undefeated team that just beat Duke at Duke.
Look, I just said they're the most disrespected.
I'm arguing.
I said they're the most disrespected team in basketball, and I will continue disrespecting them. I mean, Miami, Louisville are the top 2 teams in the ACC. Then you got North Carolina, Notre Dame. I don't think North Carolina is going to win the ACC, but if Armando Bacot keeps playing, who knows? I mean, that was an inspiring performance. It was actual Carolina basketball, so gave me a little bit more hope in this team that I'd already lost at the Notre Dame game. So, but Duke is the favorite. I think Duke is like minus 500 to win the ACC, even though they're 2 games back right now.
Okay,
because Miami's going to probably lose to Florida State. I mean,
Florida State's out. Who are the contenders? Tell the people who could realistically, if it's not Duke, who's gonna win the regular season ACC title? Miami has to be on that list.
Miami's on the list. Louisville's on the list. Carolina's on the list. Duke's on the list. Notre Dame's on the list. Wake's on the list.
Notre Dame's not on the list. Get Notre Dame off the list.
I mean, look, dude, I don't even understand Notre Dame, but I believe in Mike Brey. Jim sent us a video earlier of Mike Brey, and he's just basically yelling to room people, "I miss you, sons of bitches." You know what I mean? It's
the best part is he's standing up in front of this big crucifix behind him.
yeah, it's like probably
he looks like he's on a pulpit. And he's
he looks
"You sons of bitches."
It's like very righteous. Yeah. But it inspires hope, and confidence in Notre Dame at some level. So I don't know. I think if you look at the ACC, it's Duke.
Virginia Tech,
dude. Virginia Tech is 0-3 in the ACC. They are Georgia Tech. The only team worse than Virginia Tech in the ACC right now is Georgia Tech, who is 0-4 in the ACC. So Mr. November and Josh Pastner both at the bottom. NC State also at the bottom. Syracuse is 1-3 in the ACC. They're supposed to make some noise, be a tournament team. Don't see that happening unless things drastically turn around. Clemson, if that's your sort of thing, maybe you're interested in Clemson. I think Brunell's on the hot seat as always.
Virginia.
I mean, they got smacked by Carolina.
I know they're not good, but
they're still.
Is there a world where Virginia just?
There's a world, of course. I mean, I think they have some talented players. They just don't have it big.
Yeah,
they don't have it big.
All right. There's your ACC update.
Yeah, there it is.
It's still Duke versus the field, you're saying.
I cannot believe that Coach K summoned a demon in front of everybody. But I also think it's necessary, like you pull out all the stops when it's your last season. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that's really hit me a little bit is that Coach K might not be coming back. As much as I keep telling myself he is, maybe I'm in denial. I'm like talking myself in circles with Coach K. But that moment when he, and you see me do that. I got back problems. So, I mean, I was like, okay. But that wasn't a back problem fix. That was let's summon some mojo in this building because we got to win. We got to win.
Speaking of Duke, let's talk about Dick Vitale for a second because Dickie V is not on our televisions anymore. He is dealing with some vocal problems. He's in the middle of a cancer battle, I believe. He came back for the UCLA Gonzaga game, and that was an awesome moment. And he was crying, and everybody was into it. And
that was the highlight of the season. So
kind of wasn't it? And then he's dealing with vocal cord problems, I guess, right now. So he's on voice rest, which is
I think he's getting treatment right now too. So that's like a part of it.
So he needs somebody. He's on a competing network. We know that he's not a Fox guy, but he is a college basketball guy, and we're college basketball guys. So
he's a lifer.
We're gonna help amplify Dickie V's existence in the college basketball realm, Tate. Which is to say that Dick Vitale. This stood out to us because we want to use Dickie V's tweet, Dickie V's stance as a jumping off point for another discussion. Dick Vitale said that he had his Super 7. Who were the Super 7? That he said?
Vitale picked his Super 7 teams, baby. So you're already locked in there. Baylor at number 1, obviously. Then Purdue, Gonzaga, UCLA, And then we got other undefeated team, USC. Shout out to Chris, our director. And then we got number 6, Duke, and number 7, Will Wade and LSU. Those are his 7 top teams, right?
Those were his top 7.
Yeah.
And then I saw he followed up his Super 7 by saying he now has an Elite 8 because he forgot to put Auburn on that list. Who Auburn's ranked what, like 4th?
4th.
They play at Bama tonight, by the way.
Yes.
It's gonna be an awesome game.
It's gonna be a great game.
Because Bama shows up for the good teams, but Bama lost to Missouri, but they're still favored.
Bama is a coin toss team. Like,
they're a make shots team.
You don't know what you're gonna get with Bama.
So Dick Vitale said those are his Super 7. He's now amended it to his Elite 8 after what he called Upset Saturday. Point is, and the reason I want to talk about this because I don't really care enough to to suss out Dickie V's power rankings. I just found it interesting that he chose to cut off his cutoff point was 7 teams. Then he added an 8th, and he said that's the cutoff. My question to you, Tate, because this is the discussion I want to have, is where is your cutoff point? How many teams? Because last year we were talking about Gonzaga, Baylor, and then everyone else. That was it. It was a 2-horse race. A few years ago, it was like Kansas, but before COVID ended, the canceled the NCAA tournament. Kansas, Dayton, Baylor, I think was in that mix. Michigan State thought they had a chance. I forget who up, but there was like when we were trying to do the cutoff line, you had like 4 or 5 teams maybe, and then there was a cutoff. Last year it was 2 teams. Where are we at right now? In almost mid-January now, where do you stand? Where are you cutting it off, saying if we're doing tier talk, like this is where the big gap happens right here?
I think I like the Elite 8 that Dickie has. I do like that, but I have a couple teams that I'm going to throw in there. I maybe have. I'm adding some teams to the 8. I
have 11 teams.
The 8 are locked.
Okay.
And then I think there are still some teams on that same tier that I'm going to throw in. I think Kansas.
Okay.
I'm going to throw in there.
And despite losing to Texas Tech without
don't care.
Tech's top 2 scores.
I'm talking about March tournament time. We're talking about like who can win a championship. I think these are the Elite 8 that can win the championship. Kansas is still in championship conversation for me. Michigan State is still in championship conversation for me, so I'm going to throw them in there. Redacted, Illinois is still in championship conversation for me. So those are 3 teams. I'm at 11 right now, and then I
love Illinois.
Well, I think the 12th,
how are you not?
I think the 12th team is Wisconsin and Johnny Davis.
Whoa,
that is my top 12.
How has Illinois not sent you an orange blazer yet? Like you've done more for Illinois basketball
because I have so much respect for the 2005 team, and I hate that they have to look at North Carolina as this team that they hate.
Is it respect a word or is it guilt?
It's not guilt. It's just like,
all right,
look, it is what it is. Sean May was a man on a mission. What can you do? I mean, what can you do? I mean, you can't do anything about it. But I want them to get their redemption. I want them to win a championship because I like the Flying Illini. We love Stephen Bardo on the show. Kendall Gill's one of my favorite Charlotte Hornets ever, So I want Illinois to succeed, but I also don't want to be the guy that's sticking the neck out for them and they keep losing and they're blaming me for losing. So redacted is what I call them on the show. But that's my 12. I think that's my 12.
You're doing
Villanova.
12.
I thought Villanova was going to be in there, but I don't have Villanova.
That's a lot of teams.
I think those 12 teams have a real chance.
So last year we had 2 and then there was a gap, and this year we have 12.
I have 12.
All right. No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just
let's just be frank about it. Baylor and Gonzaga are not the Baylor and Gonzaga last year, so I don't think. And then UCLA, I haven't seen them play basketball in so long that I don't really even know. Auburn is a sneaky team. USC is a very, very, very good team. Obviously, they're undefeated. Arizona might have the best player in the country. So
here's where I. It's
not 2. It's not 2.
I got this at tier 1A. Tier 1A, I got Baylor, Gonzaga, UCLA, Auburn, and I think Arizona has to be in there. And these are all teams that I've seen enough. They've been challenged. I've seen them at their worst. I've seen them at their best. They've all lost games with the exception of Baylor.
Yeah.
They've all looked shaky at times, but like I've seen enough to like know what disaster looks like for them, and I still trust them in spite of that. You know what I mean? Like I've seen Arizona. We talked about it when they lost to Tennessee and they came out of the gate laying a flat egg and looked to be absolutely shell shocked by that crowd. And they came back and ultimately like kind of impressed me with how they lost, which I know doesn't make any sense, but so those are the team. Auburn, their one loss was UConn, right? And that was in Atlanta. Same sort of deal. Like
Bahamas.
These teams that even though they've lost, I'm not selling They were respectable losses. Even UCLA getting smoked by Gonzaga. Whatever. I trust UCLA. I trust all those teams. Those are teams I trust. Those are teams that I believe are going to be in the mix for the rest of the season. Then I go to tier 1A.1. It's not 1B.
Yeah.
It's 1A.1.
0.1. Okay.
Just slightly below
Okay.
tier 1A. USC, Duke, Purdue, Kansas, and Michigan State, who are all teams that like I want to believe in, but I also kind of have to ignore. USC, by the way, USC fans are scratching their heads. They're like, we're undefeated. Why are we not in the mix? Why are we not on tier 1A? USC's best, the only team they've beaten that's going to make the tournament is San Diego State. So I'm still waiting for USC to like actually play the meat of the Pac-12, and I think they know that. I think USC fans know that they should not be favored, even though they're up there in the mix. I don't think there's a USC fan that's like, we're definitely going to win the Pac-12. We're better than Arizona and UCLA. I don't think they believe that yet.
No, I think Arizona is the team in the Pac-12 that's, I mean, they think they're the best team.
Yeah.
And I think UCLA, we just kind of have them.
UCLA's a
out of
legacy
respect.
pick.
Yeah, exactly. Out of respect.
Arizona's probably actually the most talented. Then USC is undefeated. So they're like, what about
and I could totally, you could talk me into USC being the one that lasts the longest in the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Duke, Purdue, Kansas, Michigan State, all those teams obviously very, very good, but like Duke losing at home to Miami, head scratcher. Kansas losing to Dayton, head scratcher. Purdue losing at home to Wisconsin, losing to Rutgers, heads. So those all come with some head scratches. And then to me, there's a huge drop off. Like to Houston, to your Wisconsins, who I believe in Wisconsin. I am too scared to say anything too bad about Wisconsin because they play Ohio State and Madison on Thursday. And as soon as I say something bad, they're going to beat the shit out of the Buckeyes. But I don't know how much Wisconsin being good is that Wisconsin has a really good basketball team and how much is just Johnny Davis has gone nuclear and he's going to have to sustain that for them to actually be national title good, you know?
Yeah. He might, though.
He might.
That's the thing.
But that's my fear. Is like,
that's the thing about Johnny basketball. He might.
If Johnny Davis is averaging 18 points a game, I don't think Wisconsin's that good. I think they need him having 30-point nights, night in and night out, to actually be national title good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he can do that. We'll see. I don't know. So anyway, that's where I land. So what did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I probably had 10. I had 5. And then a slight drop off, and then another 5, and then a huge drop off.
Yeah, see,
that's what I have.
And that's probably how mine would even out. But I think there's 12 teams that could win the title in my mind right now. Yeah. And someone's going to fall out of that 12. Someone's going to jump in. But I think there's 12 teams that actually matter. But it all starts with Dickie V, who started with 7, then went to 8.
Should we cross a team off every week?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do our big board. Cross it off for Dickie V.
We should do the Bill does that, right? Does like the cross off team.
Yeah.
I just do that, but
I can't trust this Jaguars team. Cross them off.
We start. We should do that, but we start with like Mississippi Valley State. Cross them off.
Cross them off for the title.
Chicago State,
dude. That's
not happening.
That'd be fun. Cross off teams.
Man. All right. What else is there? You want to talk college football?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that before we shoutouts, closeouts?
I mean, just shout out.
I saw that Stetson Bennett has the.
Yeah, he's taking our spot.
He's on our set design here.
Yeah, we got to figure out what the name of that section is. Our little photo section, but
that should be King of the Mountain. Right?
Yeah, that's King of the Mountain. So Stetson Bennett is technically our King of the Mountain. I mean, good for him. I mean, good for Georgia. Georgia was where I wanted to go in my heart at one point. So my parents were like, "No, you're gonna go to the in-state school. What are you talking about?" But I love the Georgia Bulldogs. I went between the hedges.
Did you just LeBron Georgia right there?
Yeah,
was that like
I'm LeBroning Georgia.
You're like, I was definitely going to Georgia.
No, I was. You talked to my family. Then they took me to the Carolina Duke game, and Kendall Marshall won. And I remember being like, "What am I?" You know, like I literally said to my dad, I was like, "I'm not Dominique Wilkins. I'm Michael Jordan." And my dad's like, "What? What are you talking about?" But I love the Georgia Bulldogs, and I'm really, happy that they got over the hump. And, there are a lot of barking that happened last night in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool that we were just in Indy for the Final Four and then, see college football there. I mean, it was good for your city in Indy. So
I love that Indy is a host city. I love that.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Georgia fans love Indy forever now. Like you just like adopted a southern state. Like they're going to always talk fondly about Indianapolis.
Great point.
Yeah.
I love that Indy gets the call for these sorts of things. I love that finally there was a meaningful college football game, postseason game played north of the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
This has been a complaint of mine and every Big Ten fan forever, that why are all the we understand how we got there. All the bowls were supposed to be destinations for everyone during the winter to go, have a little fun in January or whatever. But now that there's actual stuff on the line, like what the hell? Why are we not playing any of these meaningful games north of the Mason-Dixon line. So I love that all that happened. But I will say the midfield logo was embarrassing. And that was embarrassing for the city of Indianapolis. We got to figure that out. I don't know who we're calling. I don't know how we figure that out, but to have like the Colts logo like kind of bleeding through with the national championship logo, that was bad.
That happened a lot.
That was
in
Bush
bowl
League.
Games. You know, there was a lot of fields that I don't know what's going on. But
it was Bush League. We can do better.
I think so too.
We as a city can do better.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
I didn't like that at all. But I will say, thank God that Alabama lost because I think that Saban and Brady have somehow pulled off some Stockholm syndrome on America, where like people talk fondly about Nick Saban. Did you saw the press conference when Will Anderson and Bryce Young were sitting next to him? They stood up and he's like, sit down, guys. And then he's like, I just want to point out these kids brought a lot to the program. You saw it. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And then everybody talks about what a great human being Nick Saban is, what a great coach he is, and all this is true. But the point that I would make is like, I thought we hated this guy. How did we get here? Same with Tom Brady. What happened in the last 2 or 3 years where we went?
Dude, it happens with everybody. I mean,
they just won enough. They just like beat us into submission where it was just like, all right, fine. I actually like you now.
Yeah. Well, and there's guys that have tried to become that. Like A-Rod really tried. A-Rod was like, I will sell my soul. Like, let me win some games. Like, love me, please. And everyone's like, nah, not a winner. Like, definitely don't love you. And he couldn't win his way into it. But like Brady just kept winning. So eventually you're just like, man. And then when he did it with the Buccaneers, so he wasn't tied to Belichick. Yeah. I think it only emboldened the people to be like, this guy.
LeBron had it. LeBron had the
LeBron lost it.
But he lost it when he moved to LA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But he had it in
Cleveland. When in 2016, the summer, I think that's when everyone was like, you can't deny.
Yeah. But I'm one of those guys that like Nick Saban. I don't hate the guy, whatever, but I would like to see him.
Nick Saban was happy that Kirby Smart won.
I want Nick Saban out of here. So I'm glad that Alabama lost. So the Alabama dynasty is done, and we never have to hear from Alabama football ever again. And they're definitely dead as a program, and definitely not.
They were already planning their trip to Los Angeles after the game. Apparently, they were like Bama fans that were asking where the game was going to be, and they were booking flights ahead of schedule because Bryce Young's coming back.
Yeah.
All the receivers that played in that game are not going to be freshmen the next time you see them, and they're all going to be, top 10 projected picks. So Alabama will never stop being Alabama as long as Nick Saban is there. But it was fun to have. It was kind of like when Clemson won the first time. It was like a breath of fresh air, It's kind of like a new coach wins.
Yeah.
So now, because there's only 6 coaches that have won national championships in college football, and 2 of them are at North Carolina. Do you know this?
Wait,
Gene
what?
Chizik and Mac Brown. It's only 6 coaches. That includes Kirby Smart. So, I mean, it's a very small pool of people that can win the national championship.
Oh, my God.
So it's good to have Kirby Smart in the pool.
I just love the idea of when Alabama loses, it means the dynasty's over, and that's it. And then you see like every single top 25 next year.
Alabama's
really top 25.
Alabama's number 1.
You're like, wait, I thought we.
It never stops.
Nope.
I mean, Bryce Young might go back-to-back Heismans, which I don't even think that should be allowed.
How can the narrative around college football be that it's the same people every year and there's no parity whatsoever, but then at the same time, Georgia won their first title in 41 years? How do we reconcile that? It's all you hear. Like everyone bitches about the playoff and we got to expand it, which by the way, definitely need to expand the playoff. Not like for a competitive standpoint. This is always the problem with the people that the arguments about the expanding of the playoff is like, well, the 2 best teams ended up playing. Like, in fact, we should have contracted the playoff and just made Alabama and Georgia play. We didn't even need Michigan and Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But why would you not want more football? I don't understand. Why would you not want more football? Why would you want, like, if it's inevitable that Georgia and Alabama play, why don't we watch that inevitability unfold over the course of like multiple games versus a bunch of dudes sitting in a room and running algorithms? Is it more fun to just watch them beat? Even if they're not competitive games, I would still rather watch like garbage college football playoff than watch like a selection committee discuss.
And also just start the playoff like in week 10, Just start it early, like just start it. You know what I mean? Just start
at the start of the season.
Make the whole season a damn playoff.
The whole season a playoff. Do like Champions League.
Because I don't think like you can't sustain a team that long. Like even Alabama, the team that played in the national title was not the team that played in the SEC championship.
Right?
Which is ridiculous. So like, I would much rather just watch, like Carolina, they played in the Orange Bowl last year. Like, it was not even the team that got to the Orange Bowl. And you're like, what are we doing here? Like, who am I watching? It should
be like Champions League at soccer where it's like concurrent.
Yes.
You're playing the season.
Exactly.
But then you're taking breaks to play the playoff games.
Exactly.
And then you go back to your.
Yes. 100%.
Alabama takes a break to play Mississippi State, and then they go back to playing Clemson.
Yeah.
And Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then they go back to
and some of the preseason
South
rankings
Carolina,
can get you in there, but then if you lose the first game, you're out. You know, I don't know.
I love it. I think we just fixed college football. Who's the Georgia of college basketball? Who's like the team that that hasn't won? And I mean, it's like the entire Big Ten. I think
DePaul.
Oh, DePaul is a good one.
Well, they won in 1980.
They won no, that was Louisville.
Or Mark Aguirre won National Player of the Year.
Yeah, DePaul.
They never won. They went to the Final
but,
Four in 1980, and then Mark Aguirre won National Player of the Year, and then Louisville.
NC State might be the answer. Right?
Yeah, that's a good answer.
NC State might be the answer.
Oh my God.
Georgia of college.
Could you imagine
basketball
if they won? Oh my God. It would be, in 2004 when Julius Hodge beat UConn and they got the path as the number 1 seed. I thought that it might happen that year. And I remember just like the fear of thinking that like Julius Hodge is going to be around. It's kind of like probably Georgia Tech people. They're like, I'm going to see Stetson Bennett forever. Like he's going to be everywhere forever. Oh, that's
your nightmare. I think
What?
you would rather
Julius Hodge.
You would rather
everywhere.
no,
Yeah.
just North Carolina State winning a national title. I think that's worse than Duke winning for you.
No, Duke's always worse.
But Duke's the enemy you know. Duke you're familiar with. You don't know what a world looks like where North Carolina State fans.
State doesn't even win anything currently, and they act as if they do. So, like, I can't imagine giving.
That's what I'm saying. Imagine they win a title. Like
you don't give a dog a bone. Like that is for sure. Definitely not a wolf.
All right, shoutouts, closeouts.
Wow, shout out to NC State. Love you guys. Shout out to the Charlotte Hornets. Swept the world champs. Back-to-back games.
Who are the world champs again?
Milwaukee
The
Bucks.
Raptors? Virginia? Who won the?
Yeah, they swept the Bucks, and LaMelo Ball had a game winner in this past game. So I have never been more excited about the Charlotte Hornets since Muggsy Bogues played, since like 1996, 1997. Literally. I've never believed more. We're the 8th seed.
That's all you need. Just give you a chance.
Well, this whole play-in thing is ridiculous, you know? It used to just be you could just be the 8th seed and you go to the playoff.
They kept the play-in?
Yeah. You gotta
I guess it was cool last year.
It is cool.
It was cool.
It is cool. But now we're gonna have LeBron and LaMelo playing in the play-in game. No. Ridiculous. I don't want to see that. Put them in the playoffs.
You should let everybody in the playoffs. Except one team.
Coach K. All right, Coach K. Yeah. Let everyone in the tournament.
The 1 seed in the NBA gets a bye, and every other team makes the playoffs except for the last team. And that's it. And then the worst team in the East plays the worst team in the West in a 1-game playoff. Whoever wins gets the number 1 pick.
I like that. There's a lot of beef happening in the NBA right now that's Carolina Duke related. I don't know if you saw this. Nazir Little, my boy, dove for a loose ball, but then went underneath Kyrie Irving to do so. Kyrie Irving called it a cheap play. And there's a lot of like back and forth. So, but it's like the opposite of what it used to be. You know, it used to be like a Duke player dives for the loose ball, and the more talented Carolina players like, dude, this guy is like trying too hard, basically. But that's happening in the NBA. It's all over the Jump and all these shows. Like, is Kyrie Irving right to call out Nazir Little? Was it a dirty play? So I want to shout out that. I'd love to see Duke Carolina rivalries in the NBA.
That's great.
Keeping us together.
I want to shout out Jake Diebler, who was the acting head coach for Ohio State against Northwestern and got his first W as a quote-unquote head coach. Chris Holtman and Ryan Peden both had COVID situations going on. I don't even know what did they actually have COVID? Were they exposed to it? Who the hell knows? But Jake Diebler, John's brother, who is a foe of this program. Jake is not. Jake is a friend of the program. We love Jake.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
He had to assume the head coaching duties for Ohio State. They beat Northwestern, and someone pointed out to me that Jake Diebler now has more wins in the Schottenstein Center than Coach K, who is 0-2 in his career inside the Jerome.
Can you imagine?
Center. So there you go.
So maybe he comes back for that, and he tries to schedule a game. Yeah. He's like, I got to win a real road game.
I also want to shout out San Diego State, who absolutely crushed Colorado State, won by 30.
Man,
I watched every second of this game. And I was excited because I was in Colorado during the game, and I was with Colorado State alums who were like talking it up. They're like, we gotta go to a bar and watch this game. And
Colorado State was up. Like it was kind of
a good game.
It was a competitive game, and then it just went sideways.
And San Diego State, suffocating defense. Colorado State scored 17 points, Tate, in the second half.
Yeah,
this is a Colorado State offense that is I don't know what the algorithms say, but they say good things for the Colorado State offense. One of the best offenses in college basketball, one of the most efficient. However you measure your offenses, this is an offense that you will like. And they scored 17 points. But I will say this too. Colorado State was coming off a COVID pause. They were not supposed to play San Diego State. This was like my understanding was they both had cancellations or something, so they both played each other.
Yeah, it was a meetup.
It was a meetup game. So with that in mind, I ran my COVID algorithm and I said Colorado State actually only lost by 12. They did not lose by 30. So please adjust your results accordingly.
Okay.
The COVID algorithm says it was not a 30-point blowout. It was only a 12-point.
So don't write Colorado State off.
Yeah, don't write them off.
Okay.
This was not a 30-point blowout. This was they ran out of gas. They had COVID in the lungs. They didn't have their legs under them, and they lost by 30.
Yeah.
What else is there? Oh, Missouri beat Alabama, which we mentioned earlier. So I wanted to shout out the Alabama football team. Even though Bama lost to Georgia in the national title game, Alabama is officially once again a football school.
Yeah, congratulations.
Until tonight, because Bama plays Auburn tonight. So if Bama beats Auburn in basketball, then
They're
they
basketball
might be
school.
back to basketball. So for this moment in time,
I wish that there
football.
was more Iron Bowl hate. I mean, obviously it's not the Iron Bowl, so that's why. But I just wish there was more rivalry hate between the two basketball programs.
I think we can get there.
Yeah.
I do think we can get there because I think Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl are great for that.
They're great foils for
Yeah,
each other,
yeah,
honestly, for
I think
who
so.
they are. Like Nate Oates is kind of all business, and literally Bruce Pearl is all party until someone asks him about character, and then he's a completely different person. But I mean, it is pretty much like they're great opposition. You can see why they fit where they fit a little bit.
Yeah. My impression, yeah, they do seem to be opposites. They seem to be similar yet opposite. Like
they're playing the same game but differently.
Yes, there you go. There you go. What else is there? What else have we got to shout out?
I just wanted to shout out. I mean, this is more of a somber shout out, but shout out to Bob Saget. Rest in peace to Bob Saget.
Yeah.
That was a there's like, I mean, R.I.P. to Betty White, R.I.P. to Bob Saget. These like are some of these, as you get older, some of these people that you always kind of just feel like are going to be there, the true stars that you've seen and grown up with on TV, and that's always something that kind of hits you when they're gone. And at 65, you never like to see that. And he used to always be on Corolla stuff, and I mean, he's just like a funny dude. I mean, to say the least. And then obviously there's the Full House side of it. So R.I.P. to Bob Saget, man.
Yeah,
nothing you can really say. I mean, it's not even really a shout out.
Not a shout out. Norm Macdonald also. That was one that recently that hit me. But
I'm reading his book right now, and it feels like he's still around. Like it feels like I
Norm?
could, yeah, you know what I mean. It's kind of weird like that.
The Norm joke that Norm would make when you say Bob Saget died is like, I didn't even know he was sick. That's a Norm joke, right? Betty White dies
originally, right?
Betty White dies at 99, and Norm's like, I didn't even know she was sick.
Yeah.
Or then I saw a clip like Saget was telling a story about someone lost someone, and then but it was talking about obviously they passed away, and then right before he's about to like finish it up, Norm goes, "Did you find him?"
There was a supercut though of like everyone saying that they didn't know Norm was sick. Like somebody put that together.
Oh,
after that
yeah,
Norm
yeah.
joke. Like
Norm was
it shows
literally
that old
sick.
thing, the original old joke of
Yeah.
him saying, "I didn't even know he was sick." And then it had a supercut of like everybody after he died was saying, "Yeah, I didn't know he was sick. He was sick for 9 years or whatever." And it was just like kind of weird and crazy.
Wow,
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What's crazy about those two guys too is like if they were alive, I feel comfortable enough to say that like they would want people joking about not necessarily dying, but like having fun with whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, like,
I mean, in Norm's
don't want
book,
to,
he's just like, I will, please don't let me die.
Yeah.
Like I hope that I'm still alive while you're reading this.
It's also crazy that Bob Saget directed Dirty Work. And that
Yeah.
Artie Lang
crazy.
outlived the two of them.
That is,
it is
Yeah.
for all that is a great point.
Yeah.
For all the 90s kids, there is like that moment in time that you don't forget that when you find out that Bob Saget is like
a
filthy
dirty
comedian.
comedian. Yeah. I remember Jamie Kennedy did like a music video with Bob Saget, and that was like when he was doing Blowing Up. You remember that show, Blowing Up with Jamie Kennedy on MTV? And I remember like he had Bob Saget in the back, and it was like the Wayne Brady sketch that Chappelle did, but it was like Jamie Kennedy with Bob Saget, and Bob Saget's like saying the F word. I was like, what is happening?
That was
What
how
you learned.
that was. I think Bob Saget taught me more how show business works than anyone else. Just from like like it just at whatever age I had like my brain was in a pretzel trying to figure out like that guy.
How is that guy?
is
That
Danny
guy?
Tanner?
Yeah.
Oh, he's acting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
But which one is he acting? Is he acting in the club?
Well, it's
or is he
also
acting-
funny because like the actors that you grew up on, it's like De Niro's basically playing De Niro, Pacino's playing Pacino,
Right.
like DiCaprio plays DiCaprio. So it's like you saw Bob Saget, you're like, man, this guy's a good actor.
Yeah.
You get like a respect for it because he was a totally different guy. And America's Funniest Home Videos. I mean,
The Aristocrats.
Yeah.
You gotta watch that too. His bit on The Aristocrats is phenomenal.
Man.
R.I.P. Bob Saget.
R.I.P. Bob Saget. What else is there? Is that it? What games are you looking forward to? There's a lot of good ones on tonight. USC at Stanford, Iowa State at Kansas.
Yeah.
Roy's going to be in the building.
I was going to say Iowa State at Kansas. Roy Williams. I hope he has. If he is as funny as I think, Roy Williams is a very dry, funny guy. I think he should wear the mock turtleneck with the Jayhawk patch.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. The same one that he wore in 2008.
That'd be great.
I think he does that. I hope he does, and I really hope that the Kansas fans, from what I've seen, and Kansas fans have always been very gracious. It does seem like they're excited to have him back around, and he should be around. I mean, he did so much for Kansas.
I think after 2008, Kansas fans had to drop it.
Yeah,
I think whatever bitterness you had towards Roy,
he basically threw the game for you.
Right.
Yeah, he was like, "You guys deserve to beat me."
And then he wore, and then he.
It was, you know what it felt like?
The,
felt like very Nick Saban to Kirby Smart. He's just like, because Roy was so happy for Bill Self after the game, and fans were. Cause I saw some Alabama fans are like, I don't like the Sabans being all chummy after this, even though we're coming back next year. But it's like Roy was just happy that Kansas could go to the championship game, and he could kind of be like, I'm sorry, but also, hey, you're here.
Also, Saban's happy because he can just be
like
shit on his players all off.
Yeah, exactly. And how many has he won at this point? Like too many to count.
All right, that's it. That's a show. Watch a ton of college basketball this week. There's a lot of great games tonight, Tuesday night. I'm talking about tomorrow. Villanova's at Xavier. Duke's at Wake Forest. That'll be a good one. Thursday, Ohio State at Wisconsin. BYU at Gonzaga. A lot of great basketball. We will see you guys later in the week. Peace.